Ethan, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, Keish. How about yourself?
I'm actually pretty good.
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
just got out of work and I'm working here again, so I'm actually on the zone today, hopefully.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm excited. I'm really excited to do this with you.
Dude, I'm actually really excited about this. People don't know this, but I've been following you for a while, and when I say while, I mean a while. And we've been actually talking about doing something like this for a while too. So I'm
It has
actually
been a
really
while.
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually really excited to have this conversation for you with you. For the people that are watching this series or this podcast that don't know you, we're talking today with Ethan Himka. He's a freelance graphic designer that caught my attention early on because of a couple of interesting things that I think has been occurring in his professional life, and hopefully we can talk about this. But Ethan, without going too deep into the rabbit hole, and for starting, I would love for you to actually introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my name's Ethan, Ethan Himka. Oh man, where should I start? Should I start from
take
day
take me
one?
take me yeah, 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 take me all the way back. Take me what I usually tell the people that I talk to. I said take me all the way back to the first um the first kind of where do you think it all started? Like take me if it has to be like, oh, when I was a baby, I like to all the way back.
All right, all right. Well, I'll spare the details of when I was a baby, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'll kind of go more into the beginning of the whole freelance journey.
Sure.
Um, So yeah, I'll kind of go start back in high school. I grew up in Pennsylvania in the United States. Went to a smaller private Christian school. I'd always been into athletics. I was always really into sports, but funnily enough, I was also into art as well. I always really enjoyed art class. I enjoyed drawing. I can't say I was amazing at it, but it was definitely something I enjoyed. I've always been a pretty creative person. Um, So for that reason, I wasn't really sure. I mean, I really wasn't sure what I was going to do for college. But then towards the end of high school, I was like, I mean, I like art, I like drawing. Why not do graphic design? I definitely don't have the skill to do studio art and be this amazing painter. So yeah, graphic design. I chose to do that as a major. Um, I went to college at a place in Florida called Pensacola Christian College. Some of you might have heard of it. It's a pretty strict Christian college, but
Okay.
it's known for its graphic design program.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I got there freshman year. Didn't really know what I was doing, but I definitely enjoyed it. I cringe looking back at some of the projects I did freshman year, but I enjoyed it. I was slowly improving, bit by bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we've spoken about before, I think it was about midway through college. I believe it was either sophomore or junior year. Um, I started to kind of get into the whole like online business world. I was seeing all these YouTube videos from people that were saying they ran their own business from their laptop.
Yeah.
People kind of talking about the laptop lifestyle and how you can work from anywhere as long as you have a freelance service. So I was like, well, I'm learning graphic design. I'm getting somewhat good at it. So um, why don't I sell logos as a freelance service?
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking around. I was like, oh, what if I did Fiverr or what's the other website? Upwork. And I quickly learned you have a ton of competition there. And you're
Yeah, you
competing with
do.
people
Mm-hmm.
selling logos for $5, $10. So I decided I'd take the other route and grow a business account on Instagram. Um, at that time, I pretty much just reposted like different projects I made for fun, some of my class projects, and then I'm ashamed to admit I also did follow for follow. So I just followed like tons and tons of accounts on my graphic design account. And I think there was one point where I was following like 5,000 people, and I got
Damn.
I got 1,000 followers, and then I unfollowed everyone that wasn't following me back, and then I just DM'd like a madman. I don't know if at the time Instagram really enforced those limits as far as like how many actions you could take.
Mhm.
So I was just DM people constantly. I think it was yeah, the summer before my junior year of college. I surprisingly got some clients. I will say it's funny because I looked at those websites. I was kind of making fun of Fiverr for people selling logos for $5, but I mean, I really wasn't much better myself. When I offered to do, did some work for free in the beginning just to
Uh-huh.
get some testimonials.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing logos for 20, $30. Um, and yeah, that was kind of what I did up until about senior year of college. And then a lot of that kind of changed. Um, yeah, that winter, my senior year of college, it would have been um, end of 2019, beginning of 2020. I posted kind of just a random thought of mine. I was like, what if I post a time lapse video of myself designing something on Instagram? So I posted just this quick time lapse of me making a badge logo of like a cool little landscape. Didn't really think much of it. Posted it, and all of a sudden, I realized like one of these big pages on Instagram. It's called at logo.tutorials. They reposted it and tagged me, and my phone was just blowing up that whole day.
Oh
It
wow.
was a Sunday, I remember, so I was going to the night church service at my college, and I kept checking my phone. Hopefully, no one from the college sees this, but I was checking my phone, and then I was like, man, my phone's blowing up. All these
I'm
people are following
famous
me.
now.
I'm famous. It was a good feeling. It's funny. They always say like that first when you get that first post that goes viral or whatever online, it's that feeling is just unmatched. And it was really cool. But I thought it was cool, but I didn't really think too much into it. I posted some videos here and there that winter. But then, as most of you know, or all of you probably know, beginning of 2020 was when COVID hit. So I got
Yep.
back to college for the spring semester. I wasn't really taking things. I mean, I was taking things seriously, but it really hit me when I had to go home after after the lockdowns, and I was like, shoot, I don't even know if it'll be that easy to get a real design job. I mean, all these places are shutting down, having to make budget cuts. Um, so I kind of, in some ways, took things into my own hands. I was like, what if I just go all in with Instagram and just post a graphic design video
Mm-hmm.
every single day for 30 days? And I kind of worked it into one of my classes that I was taking remotely because my teacher, her name's Miss Burrell, if she's watching this,
Shout out
um,
to Miss.
shout out to Miss Burrell. But we had this class called Directed Studio, which was where it was like your one of your senior graphic design classes where you got to make your own projects and the teacher graded you. So you could come up with like a challenge you wanted to complete. You could come up with like a brand and like build it out. And I think we had about a month for it. We did 4 of those projects. And I think it was the beginning of April. I was like, you know what? What if I just did a project where I just post on Instagram for 30 days straight and see the results? And I did that. I would come up with like different logo design ideas and then film a video of myself doing it on the computer, make a time lapse, throw some music over it, post it. I did that for 30 days in a row. And I think during that challenge I went from about 1 to 2,000 followers on Instagram, somewhere in between there, to 10K within like a
Damn.
month, and I just kept going. And I got 100 on the project, by the way, but I kept going.
Let's go.
Yep, kept going, and I think I pretty much went all summer, like a video a day, and at the same time, I kind of my goal with that was to get some clients, graphic design clients. I was hoping people would be searching those terms on Instagram, and my page would come up. So that kind of grew my business indirectly too. A lot of people I knew from college ended up following me on there and referring my services out. Sometimes just some random people saw me, and I also raised my prices as well. Like by the end of that summer, I was charging $500 for a logo rather than $5 or $20 or whatever it was
Mm-hmm.
at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the summer. Um, so yeah, that was really where the whole freelance journey started. Was that summer of 2020. I just had so much extra time because of lockdowns. Um, there really wasn't much to do. I lived in Pennsylvania at the time, so um, that state has a very liberal government, and they were very like very restrictive as far as what you can do. Everywhere was closed, so I was just kind of bored.
We all
So
were.
oh yeah, I mean it was awful, but by the end of that summer, I wanted to move and kind of challenge myself a little more.
Hmm.
Um, One of my best friends at the time that I met in college, he actually lived in Florida, and he had a spot open at his apartment he lived at. So I was like, shoot, what if I move down, live with him, and just freelance full time? I mean, worst case, I could always just get a job down there, stay on my feet if I need to. But yeah, end of summer 2020, I moved down to Pensacola, Florida. Um, didn't have any job lined up. Only had a few $1,000s in the bank, which I
Uh-huh.
lost most of it when I bought a car down there. But I made it work. Yeah, did I landed a few. I landed a big freelance client within like the first week I moved down. I met up with a marketing agency owner at a coffee shop, and by the end of our conversation, I was actually um, he became a client of mine. He was outsourcing a great deal of his graphic design work to me. So just in the first week of moving down to Florida, all the pieces just kind of came together. I was still getting some work from my Instagram. And yeah, I definitely made some mistakes between then and now, which we can get into later. But that's kind of how the whole freelance journey started. Kind of a longer answer than I was hoping for, but
No,
um,
that's awesome.
yeah,
I love long answers.
yeah, okay, cool, cool,
And we will talk about the mistakes. Take that for sure.
good, good.
Um, you said a couple of things that I wanted to take your opinion on
Sure.
them. The first thing is you talked about Fiverr and Upwork, and
Yeah,
I wanna rewind to that a little bit because um, there are two schools of thought. There
yeah,
are people that say that working on those kind of businesses or those kind of online places are beneficial because you can grow. You can definitely, if you scale your job big enough, you can make a great living. You can have a lot of, if you're a freelancer, you can have a lot of clients
yeah,
regularly.
yeah,
Uh, but the other side of the coin is what you say exactly. That is that there is a lot of competition, especially for new coming designers that
yeah,
don't have clients before, don't have testimonials, don't have 5 stars, don't have any of that. And obviously that there's a part, there's another school of thought or another way of thinking that I think I am a little bit more aligned to that says that when you lower your prices to that extent, you I don't want to say destroy, but you definitely the profession uh, gets hurt.
yeah,
The
yeah,
market gets hurt, and clients, people start thinking that because there are prices like those that are very low, that's
yeah.
the norm. um what do you think about that? What's your take on that?
Kind of my take on that. I 100% agree. I think it can cheapen your brand and then also cheapen the perceived value of what you're offering, like a logo or website. Like I can't tell you how many times in the beginning when I did start to raise my prices, and I was just chatting with people in the DMs. When I said $500 for a logo, they were like, "What? What in the world? I thought I could get it. I could just get it for $5 on Fiverr." And I was like, "Well, yeah, you can go for that then." But kind of my
Why are you here?
yeah, go for that. But yeah, kind of my whole view on Fiverr. I'm actually at the time I looked at it a little too black and white. Like I was like, nah, I don't want to compete with these people. I think
Mhm.
you can still make a good living on Fiverr as long as you can separate yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not even against maybe in the future listing my services on Fiverr or Upwork. Maybe it'll be a little more passive, like I'll just have it up. I won't dedicate a ton of time to it, but I mean, it can't hurt to have it up. You never know who's going to stumble on it, like my portfolio. I think as long as you can use things like Fiverr, I think Upwork even more so from what I know. I
Hmm.
think it's a little bit better quality of work and client on there. But yeah, I'm definitely not against them. I think you just need to be wise. Don't try to compete with everyone on price, especially. That can't be your main selling point. You've got to have a really solid portfolio. Utilize even a little bit of copywriting in your profile. Uh, but yeah, don't try to compete with on price because you're never gonna win that game. You're just gonna be stuck doing 10 logos a day at $10 each just to make make somewhat of a living. Um, yeah, that would be kind of my
Yeah,
whole thoughts on that.
and even as a business move, it doesn't necessarily make sense because of all of the competition. It's
Yeah,
like I compare it to, I don't know if you had an Etsy shop before.
yeah.
It's
I
it
haven't had one, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
it's exactly the same. It's very hard to sell on a platform like Etsy, and I've tried it before because the competition is fierce. Not only fierce, people steal your designs and you
oh,
can do very little about it. And not only that, after you finish scrolling, Etsy will give you four or five things that are similar to yours that other people has watched. So it's more competition.
oh
it's
man.
it's it's really hard. So even though they can say, you know what, I will give you a lot of eyeballs and a lot of reach and a lot of
Yeah,
people can see your content, I rather much pay for my eyeballs, meaning Facebook ads, and just
yeah,
have a platform like a website or a landing page and making
yeah,
sure that all of the eyeballs are directly on my content and
yeah,
what I have to offer. That's a little bit my perspective on that.
yeah. I think it's a good perspective, and you can still kind of what's the word, like own your audience. I haven't really done it much for my freelance business, but for my writing business, which I've kind of started on the side, it's good to like even collect emails, so you can still have a way to reach potential leads as well.
Yeah.
That way, no matter what happens, whether the platform gets shut down or an algorithm changes, you still have a way of reaching potential customers. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
And it's how do I say this? I can I can vouch or I can defend both sides of the coin because
yeah,
even though I'm a designer and I want to be paid what I'm worth, I'm actually a business owner that doesn't necessarily have um the budget, the money, the
yeah,
sponsors to make things work. So in today's age, uh, I can see places like Fiverr and Upwork having a lot of demand because I
yeah,
can see a lot of people like myself that doesn't necessarily have all the budget in the world to do something, but want to actually scale their business, go into places like this to get job on a more lower price, so
yeah,
that you can actually compete with those that actually do have the budget and the money to do
yeah.
work like that.
Exactly. And you got to start somewhere too. I mean, even I
Yeah.
mean, I like I said earlier, I was doing logos for really cheap in the beginning, but I mean, you're never going to
Mm-hmm.
get to the point where you're charging a lot if you don't start cheap
Yeah.
either. So I mean, in some ways, maybe it can be helpful to go on Fiverr and do a few $5 logos just to get used to working with clients, nail down a process, get some actual
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Yeah.
Um, you do have to do a little bit of stuff that's unpaid or very cheap just to kind of get your name out there. It's just part of the game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we damn we've we have all gone through it. Um, Speaking about prices and about
Yeah,
charging $5 for a logo and then scaling up, I have two questions. The
yeah,
first one is, do you think it's okay to do free work at the beginning when you're starting out to get either more clients or more experience or maybe get your work out there, maybe work with a agency or a designer that you respect a lot and you think that uh, giving up time for free in that beginning phase makes sense, or do you think that you should always charge what you're worth, even in the beginning?
I can see the argument for both sides, but I lean more towards doing more for free in the beginning if I had to choose.
Hmm.
Just you need the experience. You got to be out there in the trenches. You got to you got to learn how to deal with those all those things that happen, like client miscommunications, even difficult people, kind of the whole process. If it takes some free work in the beginning, I would say do it. I mean, would you rather, I saw something, I think it might have been on Instagram recently, actually. Someone was saying, delay the gratification, work for
Oh
very
yes.
cheap or free now for, even if, like, what would you could work for free or cheap for 6 months, just in your spare time, knocking out some projects and be making 10K a month years from now. Um, that's the trade-off. I mean, a little bit of uncomfortable work now, not necessarily getting compensated, but you could get very well compensated later. You'll get some great referrals. You have a ton of good work to put in your portfolio. You'll obviously have great experience to back up your prices. But yeah, I'd fall more towards um, free, more free work in the beginning, just to get your name out there. If you don't want to do stuff for free, maybe do some fake projects. Come up with a fake business name, depending on whatever freelance services you're doing. A fake brand, maybe build up a logo. You could even
Uh-huh.
clarify in your portfolio, say this was just a um, like a project for fun or like a passion
Mm-hmm.
project or something, maybe something a little more professional sounding. But even then, I mean, it's going to take up time doing that, and
Yeah.
you're not getting paid for it. So I mean, you might as well just do it
Mm-hmm.
for someone else. That's kind of how I'd look at it.
Yeah, I think the most important part here is not necessarily doing the work for free. I think free work is the buzzword that people get all riled up about it. But I think ha doing free work smartly is beneficial. If you
Exactly.
actually if you actually look out for a studio in your area that knows what it's doing, if you actually there's a designer that you follow that you know has all the experience you need to actually jump 3, 4, 5 years ahead of the game, it's
Yeah.
okay to have to work
Exactly.
for
It's
free
just
for a
it's just
little
for a
while.
season. Yeah, you're not gonna be doing
Exactly,
this 10 years
exactly.
from now. You shouldn't even be doing
Yeah,
it a year from now if you're pushing hard enough. And
yeah.
here's the thing too, it's all on how you frame it. So,
Hmm.
okay, if you go into a conversation with a potential client and it's already understood on your end up front, you just are basically offering to do it for free, then it's a lot different than you have a set pricing already and the client talks you down to doing it for free or super cheap. That's
Yeah.
probably not good. That's probably a red flag. They're probably not going to be easy to work with. Um, but it's more kind of how it's framed. If you already go into the conversation offering a discount just to get your name out there in exchange for maybe a testimonial, as long as you do a good job, of course. If you go into it offering it for free, yeah, I don't see a problem with it. It's kind of just how you frame it, because you still want to come across professional. You don't want to be letting a client walk all over you. Um, it's just how you what's the word? Almost like who's going into whose frame? Are you entering the client's frame? Or are they going into your frame? You're still the professional who knows about something. They don't have any idea what they're doing. Um, so in a way, they're going into your frame. You're the professional, so you still need to kind of call the shots, like the pricing, the whole process. Obviously, you want to be easy to work with, but you've just got to you got to remember you're the professional. They're asking for your input, your services.
And you can always try to find creative ways to strategize. You can
Yeah,
always, if you're like, you know what, I'm a very beginner designer, I don't have a portfolio, I don't have a lot of work, I don't have a lot of clients, and this client comes up, and you know that this is it doesn't have to be a big client, but it's a client that can refer to you to other clients. You can be upfront. You can say, you know what, this is my hand.
yeah,
Uh, I'm a beginner designer. I'm making up, blah 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 blah, all that, and you can say, you know what? I'm gonna do this work for you for free, but the trade-off is that you recommend me to 3 other, I don't know, possible clients, and
yeah,
then maybe you can charge them, and your business starts growing. You start making contacts. He's gonna obviously love you because if you do a great job and you do it for free,
yeah.
that's a win for him,
Exactly. Just over
and you're
deliver.
gonna yeah, yeah, and that we can talk about that over delivering. I love
Sure.
over delivering.
Sure.
I'm actually a very believer of saying I'm gonna give you 10 and delivering 20,
Yeah,
because that's what clients love the most, and that's how you get
exactly.
more referrals. That's how you get people to actually love your work. It has to be good work, but I'm a big fan of over delivering.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, same here. Yeah, definitely.
A little while ago, you say that when you when you went down to Florida, when you moved to Florida,
Yeah,
that's sort of when your freelance work started, sort of. Can you explain to me or take me uh, to that time when you started freelancing, and how was it for you? How did you get your first client?
yeah,
Did you use Google Ads? How was that freelancing process?
sure. Yeah, so I mean, I kind of had no choice but to make it work. I mean, in some ways, I could have gotten a job somewhere else, but I just in my head, I was like, I got to make this work. Like I'm down here. I'm single. I have very little responsibility. I don't have any excuse. I can do this. Um, I had been texting someone throughout the summer actually that um, they lived in Florida. They were in the process of starting their marketing agency, and I don't remember who initiated it. But when I moved down to Florida, I don't remember if he reached out to me or I reached out to him. But I was like, hey, we just got to meet up and get a coffee, maybe talk about your business, your marketing agency, see if I can help you in any way. That really kickstarted it for me because it was crazy. It was just like one simple like hour long conversation, and he became one of my biggest clients. He was someone who sent me um, logo design projects, website design projects. That kind of flipped a switch in my head. I'm like, man, like you can literally get a client like this. Like just have a simple conversation with someone, explain what you do, how it can benefit them. Um, Even when I was at the DMV, the place where you would get your driver's license, I had to get my license switched over to Florida, and I was just waiting in line forever. It's like an hour, 2 hours maybe. And I talked to someone behind me, a lady who had just moved to town, and she was their local real estate agent. And even then,
Okay.
like I got her number, and she was interested in getting a logo designed. Um,
That's awesome.
so like just stuff like that, and within the first few weeks of moving down here, I'm like, man, like it's really not that hard to find clients. Like just get out of the house a little bit, talk to people. You don't have to be annoying about it. A lot of times it just comes up naturally. Um, but yeah, it kind of really, yeah, it showed me it's not that hard to build a good client base. Within the first couple months of being down here in Florida, my income slowly shot up every month. Um, I got to a place with the marketing agency where they were sending me quite a few projects that kept me busy. I was working directly with their clients. I'd get on calls with their clients, and the owner would be there. Um, I got some referrals too from clients I'd worked with over the summer. But yeah, how that was for me, I mean, it was pretty consistent in the beginning. I'd probably attribute some of that to the fact that I got clients that were retainer clients, so I worked with them on a month to month basis. So
Yeah.
the marketing agency I worked with, they were sending me work from their own clients every month, like websites and logos. But I was also managing two of their social media accounts. Actually, I think it was three at one point. So it was the owner's personal social media account. He was building up a personal brand at the time,
Mhm.
and then his actual business account. The business was called Spire Marketing at the time. So I was managing both of those accounts, and then I think a client we got in December or January of that year. Um, we ended up managing their social media too. So I ended up doing like three, I think it was like three social medias, and that was I was just getting paid month to month for that as well, just to post for them. A lot of it was just very simple. Like I'd create a design, add the text, and then I'd send it for approval. Um, I don't remember exactly what I was getting paid for those. I feel like they averaged $500 a month each. Maybe it was less, maybe more, but I think I was probably making close to 1500, 12 to 1500 just in retainer income, just for posting on behalf of a few businesses' social medias. Um, I even got one. I think I'd even been working with someone a little bit over that summer too, um, managing. So it was a what was it? There's a marketing agency in Dallas. He designed websites for plastic surgeons and such, but it was the same thing. He just didn't want to manage his social media.
No one
Um,
does.
yeah, so it was just
Man,
a lot of.
I manage my own, and it's I was gonna ask you, do you have like a software, a framework? Do you have a plan or a process, a strategy when it comes to managing different platforms? Because I'm just gonna say it. I have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. There are
Oh man,
not that many, but
it's a lot.
it's a lot, man. Drives me
Yeah.
crazy. I'm like, and I forget. Sometimes I forget, and sometimes I like, I forgot to post on TikTok, and I have to upload like three at the same time, and that's not good
Oh
for the
yeah.
for the algorithm. And I'm like, So do you have like I don't know, like a framework or a software? I know there are different platforms or software platforms that you can use to like schedule posts and making them go at the same time. But do you have like a strategy or something?
So at the time, I didn't. Surprisingly, I was managing like four social medias at once, and I didn't. I just kind of did it all manually. The
Damn.
one that I was just talking about, the marketing agency, I didn't really do much
Mm-hmm.
posting for them. I was more just this is when I was like right at the beginning of freelancing, just needing some work. I was just DMing
Uh-huh.
people for the owner of the marketing agency. It was just the same
Okay.
copy and pasted message. Um, but yeah, back to what you were asking. As far as scheduling, no, I just did it all manually. I was just on my phone a lot. I actually, um, I had an older like iPhone SE at the time too, and the battery life on it sucked. Like I'd get up every morning. I'd go to the coffee shop, and I'd be like scrambling to like do all this stuff, and then I'd be there for like a half hour, and my phone was already almost dead. I was like, oh shoot, I didn't bring
Uh-huh.
my I didn't bring my charger with me. Um, but yeah, I just kind of yeah, I did it all manually um at the time. I mean, I was just happy for the work. I didn't really think too much about my whole system or efficiency or anything like that. Currently now I use the Meta Business Suite, like the
Yeah,
Facebook post scheduler. That
I
does the
use the
job just
same.
fine.
Yeah.
Because I just anyone I manage social media for, lately it's just been Instagram and Facebook, which that covers both of those. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, for the most part, I just do that.
I just hate it that I can I hate wasting time because I don't know if it happens to you, but my day to day is very busy. Like I have a lot of stuff and things to
Oh
do.
yeah,
So
yeah.
much that I have like an agenda where I write everything that I need to do on that day because if I don't
Oh
write it,
yeah.
I forget it.
Same here. Yeah, I got my planner right
I'm
here.
getting I'm getting in that age.
Yeah.
So I can actually feel it when I'm wasting more time than I should
Yep.
just posting on social media and it's one of those things that I don't have sponsors. Most of my clients come from referrals, not from
Yeah.
Instagram. So it's one of those things that you're like, man, I'm wasting so much time on social media and no return on investment.
Hmm.
Nothing comes necessarily from this because it's not like I have a huge account that I can monetize.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going viral every now and then. That doesn't happen here. So
Yeah, and it's tough too because you kind of get sucked into that I want to say like vortex. Like you go
yeah.
on like when I don't schedule stuff ahead of time for clients, I do it
Hmm.
manually. It's tough because like you pull up your phone and you're looking, and then you're like you're posting, and then it's like, oh, what's this right here? Oh, scroll for a second. Like you almost have to just be like, no, I'm posting. Not even gonna look through. Just wait till later to do that. Which it's
Yeah.
easier said than done, but
Yeah.
yeah, when you do a lot of work on social media, you have to be very intentional and make sure you're not um, being used by social media rather than
Yeah.
using it. I guess you could say.
For sure. Um. So let's talk a little bit to more rookie designers or to
Yeah,
designers that are starting out.
yeah.
If if you would have to do this again from zero and you would have to start again, what strategy or what would you do to actually get to build your client list? What kind of if there's a strategy, how does it look?
Okay. If I was starting at square one, very beginning,
Hmm.
I would say I'd pick. I would try to just pick one, maybe two, like something that kind of complements the main one, but one main skill that you're going to focus on, or one main service. Um, Logo design, website design, SEO, copywriting. You could look up probably hundreds. I'm just barely scratching the surface, but I just focus on one and then maybe just obsess over it for a week. Look up YouTube videos about it. Courses. There's tons of free courses out there. Find some creators that are kind of like the guru in that niche. They'll definitely put out some good value. But I would just study it relentlessly for a week or two. Put in a ton of hours on YouTube. Even better, find some ways, maybe some tutorials where you get some actual like hands-on experience with whatever that might be. So, say for instance, you pick logo design, consume content from creators talking about logos, but then also find a lot of like tutorials, maybe step by step, how to make this effect in Illustrator. Pull it up on your phone or something, put it next to your laptop, and then do it yourself along with the video. A lot of that hands-on experience as you're studying, that is very helpful. And then I would say as quickly as possible, start building a portfolio. So logo is pretty self-explanatory. Look up some prompts. You could even just have Chat GPT come up with a business name or something. No excuse.
Yeah,
And then design a
and all
logo.
the copy.
Exactly. Oh yeah, true. Um, and then yeah, whatever it might be, a website, build out some sample websites. You don't even have to use a website builder, but even just the design, maybe use Adobe XD or Illustrator just to show that you're learning the principles of web design. Same thing, copywriting. Build out some fake prompts for a copywriting project. Build out some blog posts. But yeah, step three, I would just say just as much like just get out there and iterate, do experiment, iterate as much as possible. Have something to show that you've built. Then step four, kind of going back to our conversation earlier, I would just try to um, get as much actual client experience as possible, even if it's for free or very cheap. Kind of go base it on what you're comfortable with, as far as where you think you're at, um, and your service, just the value you're bringing. There's a lot of factors that go into it that will determine if you do free or paid. But just get out there. If you have to do some free stuff in the beginning, just to get some momentum going, get some testimonials coming, do it. But yeah, I would say step four, just get out there, do some actual client work, work with some difficult clients. Just get out there. It's not the end of the world. You can grit your
Yeah.
teeth, push through it. Um, and I'd say step five, start some sort of social media or something that you can get your work out there and get more eyeballs on it. If you're doing things right, getting some clients, getting some testimonials and referrals, and then posting your work, it'll just be a big flywheel effect in some ways. You'll have people coming to you from social media. You'll have people being referred to you from past clients. Um, all of it will just it'll have a snowball effect. That would
To
kind of be
me,
my 5-step
uh-huh.
plan if I was thinking on the fly about that. But yeah,
To me, you sound, from what you've said to me, you sound like a go-getter. And what I mean by go-getter is you actually DM clients, you actually talk to them, you actually start conversations, you actually go get them, which is
yeah,
one of the things that happens to designers overall. And it's the false narrative, in my opinion, that if you do amazing work, clients will rain on you. That
mm,
happens to some. I'm not
yeah,
gonna say it doesn't happen because it do happen to some, but
yeah,
not to all of us. So
yeah.
what do you think about that? If I would have to actually go get clients, do you think LinkedIn is a best platform for that, or will you go to Instagram? Will you maybe DM them in a Facebook page? What would be your strategy to actually get to talk to those clients or to those possible clients?
I would say it depends on who your client is. Depends on where they're hanging out. I mean, if you're going for a lot of like the more corporate, really professional client, um, maybe someone in their 50s, 60s, I would say probably LinkedIn would be good.
Yeah, he's
Facebook's
not
probably
gonna be
good
on
too.
TikTok.
Yeah, definitely not TikTok. TikTok's a tough one for me because I feel it's tough with that. I feel like it's a much younger demographic.
Yeah.
Um, a very I don't want to sound like condescending, but I feel like a lot of
No,
times
it's
when I'm
okay.
scrolling through TikTok, I just feel like it's a lot of 12-year-olds
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
commenting. So I don't know if those will be the people that have the money to pay for a freelance service. I mean,
Yeah,
everyone's on it. Um,
yeah,
a lot of people just go on to scroll at the end of the day or whatever. So I
yeah.
mean, you might be able to find some of the older demographic. That's just I don't know. I wouldn't lean towards that if you're going for a older, more professional demographic. Instagram can be good. That's where I build a lot of my clientele, especially in the beginning, because I feel like it's a good mix of every age group. I would say really study your clientele though, and kind of see where they're hanging out. Certain social media platforms. Twitter seems to be really picking up, or X is what it's called now, but that seems to really be
Yeah.
my demographic because I really like Twitter, and it's a lot of
Okay.
like 20 something male. I feel like it's a lot of men, like 20, 30-year old men. That
Mm-hmm.
could even be useful if you're doing like copywriting services because you could that your Twitter page is your portfolio. Um, and who knows? I mean, some businesses you might not even need to use social media. Nowadays it is a very smart strategy. I mean, this is the digital age, but I mean, I know people that have run businesses with no website and no social media, and they do
Yep.
just fine. My dad's run a business for almost 20 years. He doesn't have any website, any social media. He just relies on networking. He knows a lot of people. He gets good referrals.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'd see where people are at. Who knows? You might not even have to go on social media. You might just have to get out of the house and go to different
Maybe.
events in your city and meet people there. But yeah, that would be kind of my long answer to that question.
That's interesting. You said Twitter a little while ago or
Yeah.
X.
Yeah.
Um, and to me it's interesting because Twitter is not necessarily my favorite platform. Uh, I think it's more filled with hate than anything else, but there
Mhm.
are many great quotes and many inspirational quotes there, and
Yeah.
people trying to do good. So, but what caught my attention with Twitter and with you in particular is that you went through a phase where you, I don't want to say you stop designing, but you definitely stop uploading graphic design to Instagram. That's
Yeah.
the platform where I know you from, and you
Yeah.
start making more copywriting kind of content. Uh, can you talk to me about that a little bit? What was the change? Why is it something that you like? Is it something that you were trying to aim for?
Yeah. Yeah. I pivoted a lot in my business. I tended to make in the beginning some more like rash decisions. Like I would just
Mhm.
pivot very hard, especially after my first year of freelancing. I was always just trying to like switch things up and like, take it to the next level. Um, that was one of those changes I made is like I changed that whole page that I built up as a graphic design page to more of like a self-improvement page. I post a lot of like productivity advice, self improvement, kind of that whole self help niche, which I'm still really into. I made the mistake with my Instagram though. I grew it posting graphic design stuff, and then all of a sudden I just switched and I was posting like tips on how to grow an online business, tips on how to be productive, morning routine stuff, and all that, which is cool. But it's like people that followed me weren't really following me for that reason. They were following me to see my
Yeah.
designs. So actually, if you go to my page, the page that we've been messaging on, Ethan Himka
Hmm.
Graphics, I actually archived all of that. Just to
Yeah.
all that you see now is just my time lapse videos.
Yeah. A lot of tutorials.
Yeah, I just left that stuff up. I don't post as much anymore on there just because I've honestly just been really busy. I have a good clientele base now. I don't necessarily have to post as much. But
Which
yeah, that
is
was kind of
great,
a mistake.
and
Yeah.
which is
Oh, keep
great,
going.
and it comes back around to what you said earlier. You don't necessarily need a social media to get clients. You have clients, you're very busy.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to be posting all day. I definitely don't post to get clients. So
Yeah, it just turned into kind of a what's the
social
word?
proof.
Yeah, it kind of turned into like a vanity thing too. Like I was getting a lot of
Yeah,
clients in
that
the beginning.
dopamine.
Yeah, just that dopamine rush. Like I was getting a lot of clients in the beginning from my Instagram page.
Hmm.
That got me some momentum. But then it got to a point where I was like, why am I even posting all this and trying to get all these followers? Like I'm not really even getting business from Instagram. I'm literally just getting a bunch of likes and comments. What's this? This isn't putting money in the bank though. Um, I had to actually like take a step back and be like, okay, do I want to like spend all my time freelancing and doing a really good job for my clients and their social medias, or do I want to keep building up my own? Um, in some ways, I still am building online. Not as much on the design side. I've started a blog now where I write a lot of
Oh, that's cool.
I write a lot of content. Like, yeah, it's a mix of it's kind of a mix of everything: self improvement, fitness, online business, productivity, creativity. That's just been my side project, though. I'm not pivoting hard and like going all in on that. That's just something I'm doing on the side, just kind of documenting what I'm learning. I'm using mainly Twitter and just my own blog on Medium to do that. Um,
Yeah.
but where was I going with that? Yeah, I mean it's tough with social media. Like you got to make sure you're actually growing your business with it, and you can think long term too. Like you could definitely grow a big following and not necessarily make money from it. Kind of like you're doing with the podcast on Instagram. Like it's that delayed gratification. You're gonna push
Yeah.
hard probably for a while, grow up a big following, grow
I'm
an
really
audience on your
hoping to go
podcast.
viral
Yeah.
though.
Oh, I'm sure you will, man. I'm sure you will. Um, but yeah,
But
that's just. Oh, keep going.
sorry, it's interesting that you say that because about having a lot of followers and growing social media, but not necessarily monetizing it. I heard the other day, I forget his name, and I'm sorry about this,
Very
but
good.
it's in one of those big podcasts. He was saying that the way he monetized his social media, and I'm seeing it all around Instagram working. He said that that the content that he made was teaching something, and then at the back end selling a course about that which you
Yeah.
teach.
Oh yeah.
uh and I see it every day, and it works like a charm.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually surprised at how what's the word I'm looking for? How much we take for granted knowledge that we have,
Oh,
that
it's
we think
insane.
everyone has the same, and people don't know everything.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how much knowledge we have that people would pay a course to acquire.
Oh, yeah. A lot of stuff we take for granted for sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of the course sellers get a lot of hate, and some for good reason. I mean, there's some scams
Mm-hmm.
out there,
Oh yeah,
but
for sure.
I feel like as long as the guru or the expert knows what they're talking about, they have some work to back it up. I'm not against that at all. I've purchased courses from people, some not good, but then some that have been amazing that have that have propelled me forward quite a bit. Um, so you got to be careful with it. If you are going to buy courses,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
or sell courses for that
Mm-hmm.
matter. If you're going to sell courses, make sure you know what you're talking about. You're an expert. But if you're going to buy them,
Yeah.
make sure the person selling can back it up with yeah,
Yeah,
some work of their
definitely.
own. Yeah.
It's something that have piqued my attention. It's not something that I think I'm necessarily uh up to do right now, because I like to think that I don't have what's the word I'm looking for? It's not paralysis, is oh, I forgot. Uh
We're
I
going to
like to
say
think uh
analysis paralysis.
no, that's exactly the word that that's not it.
Yeah.
Uh, uh imposter syndrome. There you go.
Yeah.
I like to think that I don't have imposter syndrome, but I actually do in some topics, and this is one where I have a lot. I know I have a lot of knowledge, but I do have a lot of imposter syndrome in the sense that I don't think what I know matters, or I don't think people will want to buy what I know. So I definitely want to make a course eventually,
Yeah.
But if you ask to me right now, what's the course about, I would definitely have no idea
Yeah.
what I would do it about.
Same here.
um. Anyways, going back a little bit to the freelance thing, I'm interested to know. I think I might be wrong, but I think freelancing is definitely not for everyone. I
Yeah.
think there are different personalities. I
Yeah.
think
I'd agree.
people that like to wake up, do their work, have their 9 to 5, and after that go party, go to their home, go to the wife or dog. Uh, it should be okay to go to that route.
Yeah.
Not everyone is it has the metal to be a freelancer,
Yeah.
because, and this is my opinion, to be a freelancer, you're in this market, graphic design,
Yeah.
you're the designer, yeah, but you're everything else too. You have to manage the client, you have to
Yeah.
manage the budget, you have to schedule, you have to make sure your hours are straight. You have to, there's a lot of work to do
Oh
that
yeah.
as a designer employed to do only design, you don't get to do when you're working for an agency. Uh,
Yeah.
Being in that position of a graphic designer, what what things can you tell us about that world that people don't often talk about, or what things have you encountered that you never thought of, that you're like, it's good that people know this about being a freelancer.
So are you kind of saying like things you don't know kind of that go behind the scenes as a freelancer like
Yeah,
like
those
like
things that people don't talk about but
yeah.
are very important for being a freelancer, that if someone wants to actually jump and be a freelancer, should know.
Okay. I think of a few. Taxes. You definitely need to save money for taxes.
Oh, that's a good one. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. You need to be very, yeah. Um, be very proactive with saving money for taxes. Because yeah, if you're in the U.S., I mean, Uncle Sam will hit you hard come April. Um, definitely save up for taxes.
Mhm.
It goes. It's one of those things that goes without saying, but you don't think about it. Um, you definitely need. I would say if you're not great with money, you need to be very disciplined. Like whatever state you're in, you need to make sure you know whatever the percentage of your income tax you got to set aside. In Florida, it's a little bit cheaper actually, but in some states it's significantly higher. Whatever it is, though, um, I would just immediately, if you get a check, um, have a savings account um, dedicated strictly to taxes. So say you get $1,000 check from a client and your taxes are normally 20% in your state, just immediately put 200 into that account. Um, so you don't even have to worry about it at the end of the year. And the nice thing is, which this kind of leads me to, is there's also quite a bit of write-offs that you can use. So if you're saving the right amount, you probably won't even have to use that full amount for your taxes. I'm not sure how it works in Puerto Rico, but in the U.S., there's quite a bit you can write off. If you go to a coffee shop while you're working and you get a cup of coffee, that's a write off. You drive to that coffee shop to work, you can write off those miles. Um, you go out to eat with a client and you buy their meal, that's a write off. Um, I would use if you got the budget for it, use a software like Intuit QuickBooks, which just connects with your bank account, and then you don't have to worry about it. You can just automatically write things. You basically go into the app and you can decide if the expense was. I mean, you don't decide. You still have to follow the law, but you have to swipe
Yeah.
left or right if it was personal or business. Um, and then you can even set rules. So like if you always go to Starbucks to work, you can just set it so anytime your QuickBooks sees a bank transaction at Starbucks, that's just automatically business.
Oh, that's
That'll
awesome.
save you a ton of time at the end of the year when you're doing
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
taxes. Um, so yeah, I would say make sure you save for taxes, but then also try to utilize some write-offs, so you don't have to pay pay the government tons and tons of money. Um, the
Yeah.
nice thing is anything anything that you invest into the business um, is a write-off. So that's definitely a plus, depending on where you're living. But yeah, taxes, that'd be one thing I'd say a lot of people don't think about. Would be another thing. Um,
If you're not a very disciplined uh person, would you recommend having maybe different bank accounts so that whenever you get a check, you can maybe deposit everything in an untouchable bank account, and with that, kind of pay yourself a
yeah,
percentage or something so that you can always, if you're not disciplined, like don't go to zero.
yes, I would definitely recommend that. I haven't experienced too much of that. I'd say I've definitely gotten better with money over the years. Um, but yeah, that can be very helpful. And whatever like your main checking account is, you always want to keep a low amount in there so it doesn't look like you have a ton of money too, so you're not tempted to make any massive purchases. I think I even heard
Mhm.
something recently on a podcast. Um, this guy that I was listening to, he said what he does with his savings account is he makes it harder to get into it so he doesn't just pull out money for no reason. Like I think he had to like set a certain like two-factor authentication or maybe it was like a password or
That's
something. So
brilliant.
he made it hard to get in there so he doesn't pull out money for no reason. If it's really an emergency, he'll get in, but
Uh-huh.
it's that extra step that makes it hard. So definitely stuff like that I think can be helpful. Um, yeah, if you're not disciplined with money, definitely make it make it hard harder to access.
Yeah.
Um, you can even set up multiple bank accounts or savings
Hmm.
accounts, so it's not all just in one account and it looks like you have a ton of money. Everyone's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
situation is different though, depending on
for
where you're
sure.
at on the journey. If you're in the very beginning, or if you're doing this full time, making six figures, it's going to be work different depending on what level you're at. Some people that are a little bit ahead of me, or even working with like um, an accountant or financial advisor when they're really trying to take things to the next level. Um, I would say another thing people don't think about with freelancing is it can be a pro or a con, but um, you work your own hours and you don't work a normal
Oof,
schedule as everyone else. So that can
that's
be good
ex
because you don't
that's
always get a
ex
holiday or a sick day.
that's
Um,
exactly what I was gonna ask
yeah,
next. And it's obviously when you have one client, two clients, let's say you don't have a lot of work, it's easier to schedule and to keep track of your hours. But
yeah,
let's say you're at your level where you have retainers, you have clients coming in, you have new projects, you have um, Instagram pages to work on, and
yeah.
different clients. Like, how do you manage your time? Do you use a software? Please don't tell me it's all in your brain.
No, I actually keep it pretty simple. I'm just a pen and paper kind of guy. As I showed earlier, I have that notepad. But I kind of just always beginning of the week, I look at the big picture, things that have got to get done, like those big things. Like for instance, this week, what am I doing? I'm finishing up a website design for a client. Um, so like today I had to finish up the homepage. I wrote down tomorrow I'm actually meeting with the client for review. Rest of the week I have written down finish up the rest of the pages based on the client's feedback. You kind of just have to look at the big picture though. So those big things that have got to get done, and then maybe kind of divide and conquer. Um, so like I'm not just going to put finish website for this week. I put down like actionable steps. Like Monday I do this, Tuesday I do this, Wednesday I finish up this part, so that it's like it doesn't look as overwhelming. Um, that can be key. You also want to plan ahead a little bit too. So that one of the pros about working your own schedule is you can also take a vacation whenever you want to.
Hmm.
You just got to
Hmm.
work ahead. So
Yeah.
say I was going to go take a quick little trip on Thursday and do a 4-day weekend. I could do that if I wanted to. So what I would do is just plan ahead. So everything that I would have normally done Thursday, maybe I just work a little bit extra long of a day today or tomorrow. Um, Yeah, writing
How do
things down
you?
could be helpful. Yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
very good.
How do you? I'm interested. I'm interested. How do you get more clients? And when I say get more clients, I mean, let's say you have a full month of work, but you
Yeah,
know, next month you only have, let's say, one retainer client,
yeah.
and you finish with three clients, and you know next month you're gonna need three more clients. So how do you necessarily in your month wiggle room to actually getting more clients?
I if I don't have enough, yeah, if I don't think I have enough work coming in, I do a few things. I'll post more on my business page. The new
Uh-huh.
page that I started, Himka Creative Co. I kind of started fresh with that. I'll
Yeah.
post on there. Maybe share the post with my personal network. I post on Facebook too. I just have it so it automatically shares. I'll maybe throw something up on my personal page. I try not to be annoying about it because I also don't want to like um, put people off to any of my services. But um, I'll throw something up on my Facebook.
You know what's
Oh,
interesting? I used to think like that.
yeah,
I used to be like, you know what? I want to post Monday, Thursday, and maybe Saturday. I don't want my followers to be like, oh my God, another post. But what I've come to realize is two things, and I can take what I'm gonna say with a grain of salt
okay,
because I can very much I can be very wrong
yeah,
on this perspective. But one, I don't think people give a fuck as much as we think. That's
probably
the
not.
first thing.
That's a good point.
I think one, it's an ego thing,
Yeah,
and two, if you think about social media as a tool to get more clients, who gives a fuck if that guy
yeah,
doesn't like you? Then he should unfollow you. You
yeah,
don't need that guy, you know?
yeah. That's a very good point. Yeah,
So when those when that kind of make click in my head, I
yeah,
was like, you know what? I have 10 clips here and they're all going to Instagram. If you're sick of me talking, you
yeah.
can
Just
just
unfollow.
unfollow me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Or
true.
mute me.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That might not hurt your ego quite as much. Um,
Yeah. For
um,
sure.
yeah. That's a very good point though. Maybe I need to be a little more proactive too when as far as posting when I need a little more work. I can honestly say the past few months God's definitely blessed me. I've had quite a lot of work.
That's awesome.
I think it wasn't. Yeah, honestly, probably the last time I was looking for work was earlier this year. Um, but yeah, we'll have to see when I have hit my next dry spell. I also so I don't know if I mentioned this. My wife also runs a business as well. She does photography.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
yeah,
That's a
so
great compliment.
yeah, she does a great job. She and I like photography as well, so I help her a little bit.
That's
But
awesome.
the thing that's kind of nice is, I mean, October. Some months she has a lot of clients. Some months not quite as much. But I mean, even if I don't get anything new in October, like 2 months from now, I think we'll be fine because she's got like 5 weddings she's shooting.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome. That's awesome.
quite a lot. So that's a plus as well as being married to someone else who's very entrepreneurial. We kind of help each other out too. Some months I'm doing more, like I'm knocking out a ton of freelance work, especially the past few months. I've done a lot of design stuff, but I think in October she's actually going to have a lot on her plate, and I'll probably have to step back for just for that month at least because I'm gonna have to watch the baby a little more.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
so
That's
we help
by
each
the
other
way,
out too.
by the way, congratulations on the baby.
Oh yeah, thank you. Um, yeah, I think I can hear her right now, very faintly through the door. Um, but yeah, that's something that's fun too. Is we both like have businesses. We both enjoy running them, but we also can help each other out. Like my wife studied design in college as well, so a lot of times when I get overwhelmed with work or I have a lot on my plate, she helps me with some things. And then as far as photography, I've got experience in that. So when she's shooting weddings, sometimes I'm hired as well to help out as like a second shooter. Um, Man, she could probably tell you a lot about running a freelance business too with her photography business. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
when
I'm
okay,
having difficulties with cameras because I love cameras, but for some reason, uh, man, it's hard. Like, I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I've seen a lot of videos where it says like, no, you need a main light, 45-degree angle, and then you need
oh
like
yeah,
lights on the back, and then you need all of those things, and
I'm not a fan
it
of that either.
none of that works for me. It's like, oh
Yeah.
man, this is hard. Like, and you get to tutorials, and you're like, a Sony camera, man, that's a lot of buttons. That's a lot of
Oh yeah.
information that I am not used to.
It's
So,
it can be very overwhelming at first.
oh yeah, for
My wife
sure.
uses a Nikon, which I know I think it might be a little bit more simple. I don't know as much about cameras, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, her stuff is a little more simple. Like a lot of the weddings she doesn't really need that much equipment. It's just the camera, sometimes a flash, like for the reception. But yeah, it's a pretty cool business. She likes it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well, Ethan, this has been great. This has been amazing. I've actually enjoyed this talk very much.
yeah, same
Uh,
here, same here.
sort of in a kind of finishing note.
Yeah,
What can you recommend to a designer that wants to make a jump to that freelance world, but doesn't necessarily think he or she is ready? Like, what can you recommend to them, having gone through that?
I would say I would actually I would say since I was in a very I don't want to use the word privilege, but I was in a very like good position when I started my business. Didn't have I had more of a what's the word like risk ability to take a risk just because I was very young. It was just me. I had very little expenses at the time. I think the rent at the place I was living was $350. So I was in a place where I wasn't feeling
That's
like
cheap.
yeah, it was very very cheap. I had a
Yeah.
roommate though, but it was a small place. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I definitely was in a place where I could take a risk and I didn't have to feel as desperate as I started the business. I got more responsibility. I have a wife now, obviously, I have a baby. I would recommend instead, because I think more people would probably be in that situation. Things are more expensive now, inflation, all that mess. I would say probably, I would say start your business on the side at first, and don't come at it quite as desperate as I, or as don't take as much of a risk as I did. I'd start on the side, just building on the side. Take some time before you go to your normal 9 to 5 job for the day. Get up a few hours earlier. Um, get in some deep work from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. Will it be hard? Absolutely. I
Oh
don't like getting
yes.
up early, but I've had to do it many times. Um,
Yeah.
it will be well worth it in the end. But I would say build on the side before your 9 to 5. If you're not working a 9 to 5 or you're just working part time, if you have a little more flexibility, do that. Work a part time job and then build your freelance business during those other hours every day. And then I would say, even if you make that transition to freelancing full time, have something consistent that or some type of backup plan, whether it's you're going to still work a part-time job just to pay the bills, or maybe drive for Uber Eats for a little bit, or something like that, where you have a good backup plan and you don't have to feel desperate. um, that way you can just perform at your best, um, knock out some good quality work, not have to work with clients you don't want to work with.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I'd say come at it from more of a position where um, there's less risk and you can just um, ease into it. I'd probably say that for most people. My example was a little extreme as far as what I did, moving away from home, 1,000 miles away from home, not having any
With no
job.
clients.
Yeah, I made it work. But I would say for most people, you just want to ease into it, have some sort of like backup plan or something that's consistently going to pay rent at least, so you know you're covered, even if the business isn't going great. that'll be more sustainable, because I know a lot of people who have tried to make that jump and they just burn out very quickly and go right back to their job they left. I even had a period actually about a year and a half ago where I had to work. I had to work part time for a little bit just to kind of get back on my feet after making a few mistakes in the freelance business and then getting married. I needed some stability, so I worked part time somewhere for about a year, and that was great because I was able to. Most of the bills were paid, and then I could just focus on the business in my spare time, build up the clientele, and then go from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ethan, where can we find you on social media?
I would say if you want to go see my design work, Himka Creative. Actually, let me find the exact name on Instagram. Himka Creative Co. All one word. Himka Creative Co. That would be for my design work. You can check out some of that there. If you're interested in more of my actual writing, where I write about what I'm learning as I grow the business, some self-improvement, you can just find Ethan Himka, all one word, lowercase, on Twitter. I post quite a bit on there. And then you can also read some of my work on my blog, ethanhimka.com. Yeah, those would be the best spots.
Awesome. I'll be sure to put the banners on the description and
Awesome.
the website on the description below so that you can guys find him out. Ethan Himka, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your time, man. It was great getting to chat with you.
Yeah, I loved it.
Awesome. Well, have a good rest of your day, bro.
You too, man.
Peace out.